When a woman has a child, there's no upside for you as a man coming in and taking care of that child. Because if you get in a relationship with that girl, what ends up happening is you have to support that child that isn't yours. You build a bond and attachment with that child. And then let's say the girl breaks up with you, it's going to hurt.
What do you mean by support?
When the man gets in a relationship with you, he's not just getting in a relationship with you, he's going to have to take that child on at some point.
100%.
So my point is that when he takes you on and that child, he's going to bear responsibility for that child as well. But the problem is that he's not going to have the same authority. He won't be able to discipline that child the way he wants because it's not his kid. So he has responsibility without authority. Responsibility without authority is slavery. So he ends up having to take care of that kid. Let's say y'all break up. Now he loses access to that kid, which he ended up developing a bond with, and he loses you. So it's going to hurt 2-3 times more. The stepdaddy game is an L for most guys.
A friend of mine once shared a story about his experience dating an older woman who was a single mother from a previous marriage. As their relationship progressed, the topic of marriage came up. The woman asked if he would have to adopt her son and provide financial support for both of them for the rest of their lives, even though they had just met. Fortunately, my friend saw through this and they ended their relationship. However, many men in similar situations are not as perceptive and find themselves manipulated into fulfilling the single mother's hidden intentions. When they do break up, they often face criticism from society for leaving a seemingly amazing woman and failing to support her in her challenging circumstances. Additionally, my friend discussed the differences between urban women and those living in remote rural areas, particularly in the western regions. Rural women tend to marry at a younger age, seeking companionship and future assistance in taking care of the land. Their rural lifestyle often isolates them, resulting in lower self-value compared to metropolitan women. This can lead to weight gain and reliance on male partners for lifelong support. Divorced women often relocate to urban areas in search of eligible partners, requiring assistance in meeting potential suitors. Those who choose to date these women are expected to marry them and have children together. I commend my friend for refusing to be involved with the mother, as he would have been compelled to support a woman with a history of multiple partners and care for a child who was not his own.
And I do marry a single mom that has a kid, and she ends up being Medusa, I'm in a really bad spot. Why? Because now that kid that I invested money into, time, resources that I took care of, that looks at me as a father, I have no legal right to that child. She could divorce me, take that kid. I can't fight to get that kid back because it's not mine. I have no right to that child. So that's why it is completely stupid for a man to take a single mother seriously from, how do I say this? From a percentage standpoint of failure. The likelihood of you failing is extremely high, especially since we know 80% of divorces are initiated by women. Most of the child custody goes to women 90% of the time.
The woman would have considered it a significant victory if he had agreed to her terms. It's possible that she had relocated to the city due to the lack of luck in finding a young son of a wealthy farmer or rancher, willing to take on the role of a husband and father. The rise in urban populations among overweight single mothers can be attributed to female empowerment, as they strive for independence and move away from rural areas. Sometimes they bring their children from previous marriages with them. In rural areas, men are occupied with their work on farms and ranches, leaving little time for games and mind manipulation. Conversely, women often move to cities to pursue independent lives, aligning with the feminist narrative of strength and success. Unfortunately, divorce and the failure to provide a nurturing and secure home for their children mark a fundamental failure on their part.
If she's a devout churchgoer, but she got multiple baby daddies and she ain't with either one, boy, that's the church hoe. She ain't nothing but problems and headaches, I'm telling you.
Dating a single mother with children is not ideal for several reasons. Her primary responsibility to care for and protect her child will always take precedence, leaving little incentive to enter a relationship with her. In such a scenario, one can never expect to be anything more than a second choice at best. You will always be secondary to her and her child. After the pandemic, many people, especially those working remotely, opted to move back to rural areas with basic internet connections and access to electricity, seeking a more peaceful lifestyle. This shift allowed single mothers from rural areas to target men who had relocated to these regions in search of a tranquil living environment and a lower cost of living, including reduced utility expenses and transportation costs. Additionally, rural areas offered a safer haven from viral outbreaks like COVID-19, which are more likely to occur in densely populated cities.
to get is women say, oh, well, a real man will step up and look after another man's child. But essentially what they're trying to do is shame you into fixing the problem that they've gone and created. Or they'll say, but I had a stepdad and my stepdad was the best influence. Those stepdads today are not like stepdads of old. Those men were rated. They were actually the man that stepped up. Now women come in sometimes with 1, 2 children and they look at it as a thing, I'm a single mother, and they think it's a badge. It's not a badge of honor. It's a very big disrespect to come to a man with a child from another man and then expect that man to pay for that child. Men, we don't, there's a saying like in the gamers, we don't finish another man's save game. Like you don't come in and start playing another man's 2K or FIFA and be like, no, you don't do that. Those aren't your coins. Right. And I was just breaking it down how men think.
It is essential for men to remain vigilant and not be manipulated into marriage by these women. They often come on strong and exert pressure for marriage and the adoption of their children. When we closely examine relationships, we can see that they involve power struggles. Women often employ the concept of love to maintain control over men. Having children with these women allows them to openly and advantageously utilize men's resources. Women can be secretive and possessive when it comes to their own resources. I have yet to encounter a woman who is generous with her earnings or inherited wealth. Yet they expect men to work hard throughout their lives and hand over their money to these women who only occasionally offer physical intimacy as a means to keep men attached to them. Men are now realizing this and are becoming more resistant to such manipulation. They have had enough of tests, games, and being burned too many times to truly understand women's intentions. However, there are still men who remain oblivious, and that is why women continue their manipulative tactics even today. Weak-willed men, known as simps, are easily seduced because women exploit their weaknesses. A woman who excels in the bedroom will always be a vulnerability for weak men. Men need to recognize that the pleasure they experience in the bedroom is not unconditional. The woman they are dating or planning to marry is primarily interested in gaining their long-term resources to finance her lifestyle and fulfill her materialistic desires. She is using the man for the social value of being married to a stable partner, building a network of friends or potential future partners, and accessing funds that provide her with luxury goods, such as designer handbags and vehicles. Additionally, men in rural areas may possess physical strength, but may not be as intellectually refined as their urban counterparts. This is perhaps why rural men frequently fall for rural women at a young age, get married, and have children, only to face divorce when they later discover the manipulative side of women. Urban men who relocate to rural areas possess greater awareness and understanding, which is why women are drawn to them initially. They recognize that manipulating these men is more challenging due to their intellectual superiority. Consequently, these women are able to push them towards marriage and a stable life, benefiting from the higher income typically associated with city jobs compared to agricultural work. For these men, what initially appears to be a simple move to rural areas in search of tranquility can quickly transform into a marriage situation, accompanied by the expectation of sharing resources with a single mother from a rural background. Eventually, divorce becomes a likely outcome. Women are known to thrive in social circles, so even if rural women who migrated to the city enter into relationships with men, they often attempt to persuade them to return to rural areas. This allows the women to be closer to their own community of women, facilitating manipulation and control over their partners. The presence of their tribe of single mothers, constantly advising them on their next steps, further amplifies their influence. Additionally, proximity to their own families provides them with increased influence through their brothers and fathers. One of the most crucial reasons for avoiding relationships with such women is the evident history of poor decision-making on their part. The single woman's past decisions, which have been extremely terrible, serve as the primary deterrent to dating her, as it is crucial to consider a person's history and choices. The decisions made in the past can be indicative of their future decision-making abilities and the overall quality of those decisions. While it may not be her fault if she was previously married to a military man, it does raise concerns about her judgment in other aspects of life. If she has consistently been involved with unsuitable partners and is now a single mother responsible for her children, it wouldn't be surprising if she continues to make unwise choices in different circumstances. Therefore, it is essential to assess the single mother's history and current behavior to gain insight into their potential future actions. What do you think? Tell us down in the comments section. Be sure to subscribe and activate the notifications bell. Also like and share the video, champs. Thank you for watching.